Hey guys, I'm IzDaisho and I'm here bringing you some magic, and today I'm going to be showing you the games from my Twisted draft. These are really fun and I think they're pretty enjoyable to watch. They were all, not all of them, but a lot of them were pretty close, and they definitely had some strategy involved, and it was pretty cool. You got to see a lot of different cards interact that you don't normally get to see interact in a draft. So anyway, my opponent, I won the die roll, but I chose to draw because I think my deck really wants to get those extra cards. It does hurt a little bit because if I want to play Divination turn 3 without a play earlier, then I would have to discard a card, so that's less than ideal. But my opponent surprises me by starting off with an Experiment one. I really didn't think that anybody was going to be that aggressive, that they're playing 1-drops that are pretty decent on turn 1. But yeah, he starts hitting me with that, but fortunately he doesn't have a 2-drop, and his third turn play is just a Trestle Troll. Although that is definitely a problem for me, it also doesn't put any pressure on the board, so I'm not in immediate danger. I'm just going to ship the turn right back after playing an island, and fortunately for me, my opponent plays a Marauding Maulhorn, which I can just easily dissipate, and that really helps me out a bunch because that's a creature that I'm going to have a lot of trouble dealing with. There's not too much removal in my deck, and I really want to be able to deal with creatures easier than just having to throw a couple in front to trade for it. Though, I do have a couple of things I can trade with a 3 toughness creature. But anyway, I'm up to 4 mana now, but I think my last one was the Lighthouse, which means a number of things. Firstly, that I don't have a second red source in case I have like Ogre Resistor. I can't do more than 2 damage to a creature if I draw the sweep spell that deals damage equal to the number of mountains I return to my hand, as well as not being able to cast Dominus of Fealty on turn 5. And actually that's a reoccurring theme, that whenever I draw that Lighthouse I'm less happy than I normally would have been, and I really don't like it. But anyway, I just play a Sting Scourger so that I can get the counter off the thing and the Experiment one, and then block it the next turn. But anyway, he's going to play Noggle Bandit, which is pretty much just a 2/2 unblockable against my deck. It may have been a little bit worse in its format, but in this one at least, it's not very good. And actually, it looks like I did have an island in my hand. I just played the Lighthouse. I'm not really sure why I did that. But anyway, I'm just going to draw Fairy Mechanist here. And you have to take the fact that I'm playing this game under the impression that if I can get a hit in with my Fairy Mechanist, then I can play Notorious Throng and get an extra turn afterwards, because I thought that that was a prowl cost. But about halfway through this game, I realized that you have to attack with the Rogue and deal damage with the Rogue, otherwise it's not going to work. But anyway, he's just going to attack him with both his dudes. I'll trade off my Sting Scourger, so bought me a couple of turns and traded off with a creature. It's really all I want then in my 2-drop, but then again I did have to pay the extra 4, so it wasn't ideal. But my opponent's going to drop a Corpse Hauler and an Iron Mirror, so just a couple of creatures that can actually beat in and start doing some damage. Fortunately for me, I draw Dominus of Fealty, but again, there's the missing red or blue source, so I can't cast it because I have a colorless one. But I just decided to play the Fairy Mechanist this turn, and I'm going to look at the top 3, and guess what? I got that Great Furnace, which is really all I wanted. I get to put the Zephyr Sprite on the bottom of my library, which will shortly be sideboarded out and never to be put back in my deck. But yeah, Great Furnace was a really good draw, because that means that next turn I can play my Dominus of Fealty and start getting in there. Dominus of Fealty allows me to take the Trestle Troll and get in for flying damage, which I normally wouldn't be able to because the Trestle Troll is annoying. But yeah, he's just going to attack here, and I think at this point in the game I probably should have blocked, but especially if I block the Corpse Hauler, there's a chance he just goes and sacks it and goes to get back the Experiment one. But dealing, the Fairy Mechanist can't even attack in until I play Dominus, and if he's got an answer to it, then I'll just have to trade for a 2/2 in the future. So I think blocking the Corpse Hauler here would have been a really nice play, but I'm pretty sure that I hold off on that. The 2/2, the flying part of it is pretty relevant since he's got the reach creature, and I just need to survive long enough so that my Dominus and my Notorious Throng and my Train of Thought can win me the game. So fortunately I do have Unsummon in hand, which is really key. You're going to see next turn I'm also going to have a really nice draw. Well, he's going to play a Goblin Brawler this turn, which is a 2/2 first strike for 3 that can't be equipped or something like that. So, it's an okay card, but it does not have much upside. It's kind of just like a regular creature, but that's really all he needs. I mean, I'm at 9, I only have 1 creature out. I think my opponent must have been pretty confident in the situation when he was playing this game, but fortunately I draw another land, and now I can play my Dominus of Fealty and still have a blue mana untapped, which is really important because then I can unsummon it. For some reason I leave the Desolate Lighthouse untapped. Oh, wait, no, I have to because Dominus of Fealty costs 5 blue or red sources. No colorless mana in the name for that guy. But obviously there's no attacks here since he just blocks with the Trestle Troll. And instead of just trading off and saving 2 damage with the Corpse Hauler last turn, I think I'm just going to end up doing it this turn. So it's pretty unfortunate that I kind of just wasted 2 of my life when at this point in the game I really need to focus on conserving my life total, because I'll win the game eventually. I'll draw a ton of cards, be able to combat whatever he's doing with pure card advantage. So sorry about that noise, not trading off as early as possible and wasting life is really bad. But anyway, he's just going to attack with 3 creatures, so obviously I'm going to block the Dominus on the 2/2 First Striker, and fortunately for me, any pump spell that he might have is not good enough because I do have Unsummon. So he is going to play +2/+0 to all his creatures, Path of Anger's Flame, and I'm fortunately going to have the Unsummon for his Brawler, and that just puts me so far ahead. I get to trade off for the Corpse Hauler. I do take 4 from the 2/2, which is not ideal, but it's still very, very good for me in that I can start winning this game now, because I do have a Claustrophobia in hand, so I can take care of that unblockable creature, and then he has no real offense, especially since I can just swing in and then get 4 1/1 flyers with because I have Notorious Throng in hand, and I can steal his Trestle Troll before I do that. But anyway, he's going to opt to play the Goblin Brawler here and ship the turn right back. So now I think I'm definitely in a good spot, even though I am at 5 life and he is playing red, so there's definitely a chance that I just randomly lose this game because he draws the right spell, or like a burn spell like a Lava Hex or something like that. But short of that, I think I'm definitely looking pretty good here. I've got 3 very powerful cards in hand, so I'm just going to attack him for 4, which must seem a little bit ridiculous from his perspective, but I do have a reason. I'm going to play the Notorious Throng. Unfortunately, I can't prowl it. It's really hard to do so in my deck because there are not very many rogues. But yeah, I think it was actually pretty funny since I wasn't actively looking for rogues in the draft, but then once I realized that this was a Tribal Sorcery rogue, I looked through my creatures and I actually had 2 that were rogues. Neither of them are evasive. They're both random 4 mana bad creatures, but it is at least something, especially with my deck with a ton of bounce spells. It's not impossible to get one through at some point. But yeah, I'm just going to play Notorious Throng, get 4 1/1s, play Claustrophobia on the unblockable dude, and pass a turn. And I still have a Train of Thought in hand, so I can cash that in whenever I need, and hopefully draw the things that I need to allow me to win this game, or at least stay ahead, sort of, I don't know. But anyway, my opponent can still attack me with a Goblin Brawler, and if I really, really needed to kill it, or then I could throw all my 1/1s at it, but I don't think that's worth it. It's really hard to play around if he has any sort of pump spell, then he just kills all my 4 tokens, and then all I have is a Dominus, and he still can't attack unless he's got another pump spell after that, but it's really not worth it. I think I'd rather not take that risk, and just what I end up doing is jumping. And one of the main reasons for that is because he also attacked with Iron Mirror. He's just going to cycle a Deadjaw Minotaur, which I think when it enters the battlefield it deals 3 damage to target creature with flying, so it just can't kill. It's just a little short of being able to get rid of Dominus. But yeah, blocking with all 4 of them is a little bit more risky than I need to be at this point. I can just pretty safely chump block, and the fact that he did attack with his Iron Mirror means that I'd rather just trade off since he's giving me that option, and I won't be able to trade off if I quad block. So it was an interesting attack if he didn't want me to quad block the Goblin Brawler, because that would basically mean that I am less tempted to do so, and he can just keep that thing around and make me chump block with it. Or what ends up happening is I decide not to attack with my Dominus next turn so that I can actually kill it, and I won't like run out of chump blockers. So that was definitely an interesting play on his part, and you'll see why in just a second. So I'm just gonna take away his Trestle Troll, and I think I make a bad play here. I draw Divination, and I decide to go ahead and cast that instead of playing Train of Thought for 6, which would have been good. And I haven't drawn a land yet this turn, so I figure I can put myself in a huge advantageous position if I can just Divination again, and then all I have to do is draw a land, and I can play my removal spell that I just drew. But unfortunately, the 5 draws I had this turn or whatever, none of them were lands, so I can't play that removal spell, which is actually going to be really bad for me, as you'll see in just a second. So I decide to just attack with those 2 so that I can block and kill, or I can threaten to block at least with my Dominus. But now that I think about it, that was probably a really bad play. If I wanted to attack, then I should have just attacked for 4 with my Dominus and left the other 2 guys back to chump block that way in case he did have a removal spell for one of them, then I would still be alive. But what ends up happening is he plays Shiv's Embrace, and in order for me to survive, I just have to chump block with my Dominus. So if I had just either number 1 drawn the land, or number 2 decided to leave the 1/1s back and attack with the Dominus and just chump block one more turn, and then after that I would just be able to pick off that creature with my removal spell. So that probably, either of those 2 plays would have been a lot better, but unfortunately I make the mistake, and it's going to make this game go on a lot longer. I think that I still have a good chance of winning, but I have to kill the 4/4 flyer, obviously, and afterwards he still has that Trestle Troll, which is holding my creatures off from attacking. So I'm going to have to find an answer in my deck, and my deck does not have that many ways to win games. It really is relying on Dominus or some like 4-power creatures to just attack in. So I mean, I've got a couple of ways to do so, but I mean, I'm about to have used 2 of my removal spells, and I don't think I even have Runner's Bane in the deck at this point. So it's definitely it's going to be really difficult for me to turn this game around. And I mean, cycling cards with my Desolate Lighthouse is not ideal. I've already drawn a bunch of cards this game, and I don't want a deck. I mean, that was actually really a concern. And at some point, I think I do draw Thought Flare and opt not to play it, just because cycling through another 4 cards in my deck is just a little bit too risky, in that I think that I would just run out of cards in my library and lose that way, because my opponent's Trestle Troll is really just staring me in the face. Sorry if you can hear the background noise. I don't know how loud that is. But anyway, I do draw a 4/4 here, which is really nice. I do have the Maze Glider as well, and now I can actually sort of mount some sort of offense, and it could end up working out. I do also have this Scimitar, which is a nice thing. I can start attacking with that, and now, I mean, I sort of have him on a clock, so I'm not that worried, but there could still be some issues in the future. I do have my Train of Thought left in hand, so I think I'm going to be able to draw 4 cards off of it next turn, which should be pretty sweet. But we got to see what my opponent drops here. He's going to play a Thundering Giant, which is a little bit worrisome. It means that I can't really be as aggressive as I would like to be. I would like to just start attacking with everything. But at the same time, I do have the Ensouled Scimitar, which is really good because I can equip it and get the extra power in that way, and I would still be able to block with it because it doesn't tap when your creature attacks, because it's an equipment. It's not a creature. It's not actually attacking. It's just equipping a creature that is attacking. So obviously he can't attack into my Maze Glider, but then I get a really nice draw here, and I draw a Bone Splitter, which means that I can turn one of my flyers into something that can actually kill one of my little spirits into something that can actually kill his Maze Glider. So that was a really sweet draw, and I mean, Bone Splitter is just an insane card. Even in my deck that doesn't have that many creatures, it's still insane. It's just so powerful. I think it was one of the first artifacts or equipment that they printed, and they did not realize how good it would be. But I mean, then again, it's really mostly good and limited. It's not too powerful in anything else. But yeah, I'm just gonna equip up this spirit, and then start the attacks. So I don't remember exactly my attack, but I think I just should have attacked with all of my creatures, because I could just attack with the scimitar. But I think that it's a little bit misleading the way I'm tapping, because if I attack, then I just end up just picking up the whole pile. But it's really not the whole pile that's tapped, so I think it would have been really annoying if my opponent did attack next turn and I just blocked with my scimitar, because it shouldn't be tapped. It should be untapped right now. But anyway, it doesn't end up being relevant because I don't make any attack with the Maze Glider. I think I didn't see the play that I could just have it untapped until after the actual game. So yeah, that was definitely unfortunate, because I could have closed this game out a little bit quicker if I had hit him for 7 this turn instead of 4, and not at too much risk to me, because first of all, I would have the scimitar as well as a untapped spirit, so I really probably should have been okay. But anyway, we're definitely looking good here. My opponent needs to change the board in some way, because currently he can't attack at all and I can. So he definitely needs to trade off at some point. But he plays a Crossway Vampire here, and I'm really confused as to what he was doing, because I thought he was just going to make my creature not block, attack me with the Thundering Giant. Unfortunately, I do have the 1/1 Spirit back, so that's not a big deal. Maybe he did see the fact that my Scimitar would be able to block, but I didn't at all. So, I mean, the Crossway Vampire could have been a really important card since I'm at a low life and he's got a 4-power creature, but I left a couple of things back. Actually left 3 things back to block. And, yeah, anyway, he also needs to deal with my Berserkers of Bloodridge, so he had to leave his creature back. But I do end up looting, which earlier I was a little bit worried about decking, but at this point in the game, I'm pretty sure that I'll be okay here. And I just take a look at the Ensouled Scimitar, since it's a tough card to play with, and I didn't know exactly how it worked, so I didn't want to mess up or anything. But anyway, now I do have Train of Thought, so I'm just going to cast it here. I'm not sure if I should have done that at this point, or how many cards I should have drawn. I probably should have left at least 3 mana up so that I could activate the Ensouled Scimitar on his turn in case he attacked me and I needed to block with something. That probably would have been a smarter play than just casting Train of Thought for 4, and I mean, doing its best opportunity impersonation, except for the fact that I draw really poorly. I draw Thought Flare, which I don't really want to cast, and I draw 3 lands. So that was a less than ideal Train of Thought, but still, I mean, it did get me through those bad cards in the deck. And I mean, normally it would be fine to just draw a Thought Flare in 4 lands, or in 3 lands, because I can just play one of the lands next turn and then discard the other 2 from the 4 cards I draw with Thought Flare. But again, I don't really want to deck, especially at this point. I think I'm pretty far ahead, and I'm unlikely to lose unless I do something stupid. So drawing the 4, I mean, it's not like there's anything left in my deck that I know will, it's not like I have a Fireball in my deck or something like that I know will automatically kill him. But anyway, he's going to block with the Crossway Vampire and the Trestle Troll. And again, I mean, I probably could have killed him an entire turn earlier. He would be in at 7, and I would have attacked with the Maze Glider as well. He would have had to trade off his Thundering Giant for my Berserkers, and he would have been left with a Crossway Vampire. And he would have still taken 3 this turn, so he would have been down to 6. Instead of, I think, wait, he should be at 6 because he didn't block my 4-power thing. I think I just need to change that. But yeah, anyway, he just attacks in here with his Thundering Giant. I don't think the entire game he realized that Maze Glider was a 3/5, because he kept like trying to attack and then realizing that he couldn't. But I think it was more because of the race and less because of the fact that my Maze Glider was a 3/5. But now that he doesn't have any creatures on board, I can feel pretty confident in just attacking with everything. I also drew a Condescend, so that's pretty good. So he's just going to block and regen here, take some damage, and then he is just going to concede the game. So yeah, that's going to be game 1. Sorry I'm not doing so well in the commentary. I think it's been a while since I've actually commentated one of these draft games, but hopefully you guys will find it entertaining anyway. So my opponent is just going to lead off with a swamp. I think this game is actually really entertaining. Sorry about the sirens in the background. I don't know what it is about this room, but it seems that the windows and the doors and the walls just don't do such a great job of containing the sound. So if you can hear anything in the background, I do sincerely apologize. But anyway, my opponent's going to lead off with a corpse hauler, and I've got a divination, which is good because I think he put me on the play this game, or did I mulligan or something like that? I can't remember. Maybe I mulligan. But anyway, the divination doesn't take me... Yeah, no, I guess I must have been on the play since I have 3 lands out and he only has 2. So the first game my opponent I opted for me to be on the draw, and I guess my opponent didn't want me to have that advantage, so he put me on the play. And my deck doesn't really do anything better on the play than on the draw. But anyway, you can see I did side in the disperse. My opponent was playing Shiv's Embrace and that pump spell, and I mean I expected him to be playing more stuff along those lines, so I decided that it would be a good idea to toss in some more bounce spells. But anyway, I'm just going to keep playing my islands, and this is actually really interesting. My opponent drops this this ninja dude, ninjutsu creature, Okiba Gang Shinobi, that if it deals damage, it makes me discard 2 cards, but I can just play my disperse on it, and then I basically just bounced 2 of his creatures and got him to do nothing for the turn. But fortunately, I just draw pretty much as well as possible, and I'm able to drop my Dominus on turn 5. So now, not only do I know about the Okiba Gang Shinobi, he can't play it until something changes, because otherwise I'll just be able to steal it with Dominus and kill him, and attack him, and then he's going to have to discard 2 cards. I mean, he is stuck off green mana, though in the first game it didn't seem like he was playing that much green. It was more of a red-black deck with a green splash, although he was splashing for Experiment 1, which is a tough one. So I guess that probably leads me to believe that it's more of an even split between all of his colors. But yeah, anyway, he's just going to cycle his Deadshot Minotaur again. Not really too useful when you're staring down a Dominus of Fealty again. Really unfortunate that if that card said 4 damage, I know I would have lost both games, because he would have just cast that thing, gotten rid of it. Although I guess, this game is nowhere near decided yet. But I'm definitely in the driver's seat. Or in my opinion, I'm in the driver's seat. I've got a couple of red cards in hand that I can't really cast. I've got the 3-mana 3/2, but I have so many better things to cast, and I don't even know why I played that card. I took it out of the deck after this game. It's just not that useful, and I don't really need it. I was worried about not having enough creatures to kill them, but 3-mana 3/2s that make me lose damage are not the cards that I want to be drawing. So anyway, my opponent's just going to play Corpse Hauler, which is really unfortunate that that's his best play at this point in the game. It does mean that I can steal it and attack and hit him for 6 damage, which is pretty sweet. And the funny thing here is, so the way that the stupid ninjutsu thing works is it has to be an unblocked creature, but yeah, so I'm just going to attack him here, and unfortunately I can't use my removal spell, so I'm just going to drop a Battleground Geist. And honestly, I don't even care about having to discard 2 cards, because if he spends his turn to use the ninjutsu spell, then he's not going to be able to do anything else except for play a Corpse Hauler, and then I can attack him back, and if he decides to block, then he's just going to lose the Corpse Hauler and the Okiba Gang Shinobi, so he's going to be 2 cards down as well. And in addition to that, the removal spell is uncastable at this point since I don't have any mountains. I just have the Great Furnace, which is not a mountain. Unfortunate, I know, and then I just have that random 3/2 that I don't really need. It's not going to be doing much since my opponent can just block it, and that would hurt me. So the 2 spells that I discarded weren't worth much to me, and the fact that I'll be able to make him lose 2 creatures is really beneficial. But what I think end up happens is that I just bounce something so I can push more damage through. So yeah, I just grabbed the Shinobi. I guess I could have just taken the Corpse Hauler, but this was really funny. I also did side in Runner's Bane, and that's what I'm going to be doing this turn. So I'm just going to unsummon his Corpse Hauler, get that out of the way so it can't block, attack him with his creatures. And this is one of the funniest things I think about my deck, is I'm just going to put a Runner's Bane on the Okiba Gang Shinobi and then toss it back to him. So I can actually grab my opponent's creatures that are Runner's Baned or claustrophobia and attack with them, and then ship them right back. And then my opponent's like, no, come back, I wish you were untapped. But they don't untap still. So they're only untapped during my turn, which I think is really funny. Sort of, it's a really interesting interaction between like the tap removal, the tap and stay tapped removal spells and Act of Treason or Dominus of Fealty, those kind of effects. So anyway, I'm going to close this one out. My opponent's just going to concede. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed these videos and the commentary. I hope it wasn't too boring or uninteresting or whatever. I guess boring and uninteresting are kind of synonyms, huh? Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, so have a wonderful day. Bye!